What's going on, guys? It's your boy Sage the Mock. Uh, it's great to be back. We're going to be doing episode 3 of Evolution of Punk. Episode 3, Hurt. Before we get started, though, just wanted to thank everybody again for the continued support. We appreciate the love. Like, follow, share, get the word out. Really excited about we got this episode and episode 4, and then we got the big fight on Saturday. So before further ado, let me go ahead and introduce my co-host, Guru, the guy. What's up, Guru?
What's up, man?
How you feeling, bro? How you feeling?
Hey, another day.
Another day. So what you been up to today? How was today?
Today was actually a lazy day, man. I didn't do too much.
Lazy day.
Yeah, I actually just went and deposited money, and that's about it.
Anytime you can deposit money, that's a good thing.
It is. I'm not gonna lie.
And that's our job for the series, guys. Guru the God. So, like I was saying, we are going to be reviewing episode 3, Hurt. I think it's not quadruple series quadruple series. I don't know, something like that. But this one again is called Hurt, and this one actually centers around the controversy when he got hurt, and everyone was getting upset because his fight was again delayed. So I was a bit confused. I don't know about you, Guru, but I was a bit confused when this episode started because it kind of seemed as though it only happened maybe a couple of weeks after episode 2 when he had his third sparring session. And then they were immediately he already had his surgery. Then he went through physical therapy, and the physical therapist told him that it was going to take 4 to 6 weeks to recover. Now, I'm just going to tell you from my experience. I've had that same injury on the shoulder happen to me, and I consider myself a semi-athletic guy, but it took me 4 to 6 weeks to recover from it, and then like an additional 3 to 6 months to before I could resume activities. So I kind of found it weird that the time frame in terms of his recovery, it felt like it was extremely short, unless I missed something. What do you think?
Well, I don't think that as far as the timeline of the injury, I knew that he got injured pretty early into his camp. I don't know what week it was on, but I do remember it being pretty early. But I know from example, from myself that when I was in fighting shape, when I was in great shape, man, I healed extremely fast. When I had an injury that was nagging or an instant injury, when I was in the peak shape, I would feel like I would heal faster. I would bounce back faster. And I'm not fighting anymore. I tend to heal a little slower now. But
yeah, you do. Yo, what's up with these shirts, bro? Like you had Superman on the last time, now you got the bat.
Hey, I might do Spider-Man tomorrow, man.
You should do Wonder Woman.
My look.
Just kidding, bro. Just kidding. So, unless I missed something, I just kind of felt like the timeline for his recovery, that they were giving, was, I don't know, maybe exaggerated. But then it could have just been my misinterpretation of it, because the weeks just seemed like, I don't know, I guess the way that they were presented, it just kind of seemed a bit weird to me. But
that's TV, man. That's all.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So one of the things I didn't notice that during his downtime, he was going through comments and videos and articles on social media when the news broke about his shoulder injury, and I mean, I don't know about you, but I felt terrible for the guy. Like, what would I mean? I felt like everything was like overly negative, and like it was like he planned to be injured. You know what I mean?
Well, like I thought, and I'm not gonna lie, I was one of those guys who was like, surprise, surprise. I was one of those
Shame,
guys. But
shame.
I until I saw that episode, I don't think I had a respect towards it. I thought I was like, all right, dude, and like you keep and you're gonna fight, But I saw it and I was like, man, that sucks. Like this dude really is putting it all out there, training, and shit does happen, man. Like I tell you what, my first day training in Alabama, I rolled my fucking foot so bad that it turned blue to my ankle, my whole foot. And I kept training like that, and no one even knew it happened. I didn't say anything. I just pushed that shit off until the end of class, and then I showed my wife, and it was a lot different. But I know, man, that's a hard, and that was just me and her, and I wasn't even training for a fight. I was just training to stay in shape at the time. A guy who's actually, leaving one career to pursue, I'm not going to say a dream, but to pursue something different and really invest himself and invest his time in it. I respect it, and I feel horrible. And I was seeing the reviews and people, shit talking them. Like I say, I was there with those people a year ago, like saying the surprise thing. But looking at it, I feel kind of bad. Like, man, this dude really is. And the one thing I always say is, who am I to judge? But yet I forgot about that day that I was like, whatever, dude. This guy is, I get to see him being more and more human through these episodes, and it's a lot. It's a good eye opener to see that Hollywood is just regular people with a bunch of money.
Yeah, and one thing you have to remember, and I think that like these critics and whether they're wrestling or whether they're fighting aficionados, uh, like you have to remember that this guy was working 5 to 6 days out of the week for 10 plus years, like straight, doing lifting
Mhm.
weights, or going to the gym, lifting weights, getting slammed on the mat, having his body stretched here and there. And you've got to think that, as fake as everyone wants to claim that wrestling, is, it's still a physical activity. It does take,
Yeah,
wear and tear off of
there's
your
still
body,
real
right?
impact. There's still real. I know people who are basketball players who are trying to come in here and do MMA. But even basketball itself, I mean, they're catching injuries, concussions, knees, it's there. I mean, any sport, I don't think WWE is phony, like how most people say. I don't think it's phony. I think those are some real athletes, but people forget that when you're like a Dolph Ziggler or a Brock Lesnar and you're a collegiate wrestler, there is no profession for you outside of college. So it's
Yeah.
either WWE or UFC. It's one or the other. So people have to remember that shit. And those critics who talk shit, most of them, I'd say 99% of those motherfuckers are good at one fucking thing, and that's being critical of other people's misfortune. They're not in there training with him or anybody else that's training. They're not doing shit. They're just over there being critical about some shit they heard on someone else's news channel.
Yeah, and I
So
feel the same way, man. I'm like that with movies, to be honest with you. Like, I read some of these reviews, the critics put on some of these reviews, and I go into the movie, and I thought the movie was fantastic. And I feel like, as critical as they are on the movies, I know for a fact that these guys can't direct and write like these guys are doing,
mhm.
it's a work of art what they do, whether it's movies or whether it's wrestling or whether it's MMA. We should appreciate it for, not saying not to have an opinion on it, but when it comes to someone's body, they don't necessarily have control over when it's going to give out. The body's going to give out when the
Right.
body's going to give out, and it's I really hope this was an eye opener for a lot of those critics. Just like like you said, that you were very critical when he got hurt. Oh, again, and seeing this, yeah, man, stuff like this happens all the time. It's
Yeah.
unfortunate that it happened to someone as popular and as well known as this guy, but at least he didn't give up. You know what I mean? He
Yeah.
he's still gun ho about it, and I've I have more of a I mean I have high respect for the guy previously, but as a fighting fan, this a fighting fan and a mixed martial arts fan, um, this it makes me smile. It makes me appreciate him as a fighter. He is past the next level for me. You? What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
In
as
terms of
far
just
as
respect for the.
respect, I mean, my hat's off to him already. When I saw him getting his ass beat, whether he was doing what he needed to do right or wrong, he was still in there and he didn't quit after the first beating. Another guy came in there and beat him again. You know what I'm saying? So I respect the dude 100%. And whether he's good or bad at this sport, he's doing his fucking best and he's doing it on a big stage. And all these motherfuckers, like I say, who talk shit about, oh, I fight CM Punk, motherfucker, go through 1 week. I urge anyone who hasn't done it to go through 1 week of fucking training, 1 week of camp for a fight. And not just the training, but the cutting part as well. Cut some weight in that first week, and tell me how you feel, and tell me if you're ready to fight the person you used to bully, because you'll feel like shit for 6-7 weeks. You're gonna feel horrible depending on how long your camp is.
Mhm.
You're going to feel bad. And this dude is still pursuing it, through the shoulder injury. He's still pursuing it. So, nah, man, I got nothing but respect. I know how hard a camp can be. And my camp, even though this is CM Punk's first fight, my camp was nowhere near as good as his camp is. It just isn't. I wasn't on a big platform like CM Punk. I didn't fight for the UFC. I fought for a smaller stage. But still, my camps didn't consist of the greatness that those camps have in them. The type of athlete that my camp had versus the type of athlete that his camp has. But for him to be in there with those guys, those guys are professionals. And if they're not professionals, they're damn near on their way.
Right.
He's in an established area, so nah, definitely much respect for him, because that dude is doing and being criticized for doing, the shit that most people are dreaming of doing, uh, and pursuing it, whether it's a good day or a bad day. That he was pursuing his goal. I wouldn't say a dream, I'd say a goal.
Mhm.
And I don't know how he sits there and takes that criticism. I don't know if I could have done it. The words hurt more than punches. They really do. The word will stick with you. I remember when you came down here to Oklahoma to fight at the Great Plains Coliseum. I remember when they were putting the Vaseline on my face, this guy from Oklahoma was cussing me out, call me a pussy, and tell me he hopes I fucking die, because the guy I was fighting was from Oklahoma. And he said a bunch of foul shit to me, and to me, it's just a sport. I have nothing against the guy I'm fighting. That guy's nothing against me. It's just a sport. We both want to win. None of us want to lose. Uh, but it did. Like, it stuck with me. And even after the fight, I remember the guy in my ear talking shit. And when I leave the cage, congratulating me. But, when I went in there confident. If I could tell you right now that what he told me didn't break my confidence a little bit, I'd be lying to you, because him saying that he hoped I lost, it fucked with me a little bit. I was like, man, like, how could you want that? How could you want me to get hurt so bad? It's really fucked up. I don't even know who the fuck you are. You don't even know me. But not to ramble and keep going on. But at the end of the day, words do hurt, and
Yeah.
it can really fuck your confidence. It really can.
So what you're really trying to say is that you can never make it as a heel wrestler. You always have to be a face.
Actually, what I'm trying to say is, if that guy at the Coliseum is watching this podcast, fuck you, motherfucker. I won.
Oh man,
Oh,
that's right. Or in the way, in the words of Xavier Woods, come get this work.
hey, it happened.
Oh man, so let's fast forward a little bit, man. So this particular episode was kind of the theme of this episode was basically what was going on during his downtime, and there was a comic book scene that to me I thought was pretty funny. So Punk, he does charity work. You know, it's well documented. Everyone knows it. And he took a Make a Wish kid down to the comic book store to go see because it was like the grand debut of his new comic book that he co-wrote called Drax the Destroyer. And I thought it was pretty crazy. I don't know about you, but I was kind of shocked because he entered the comic book store and like it seemed like no one recognized who the hell he was.
I
And
saw
even
that too.
I just thought that was kind of weird. And then he's going around asking people, "Hey, you pick up that new Drax the Destroyer?" And like, I mean, there is like doves or was it a deer in the headlights kind of responses to that, and he was throwing subtle hints that it was him who co-wrote it, and yeah, no, those people weren't going for it. What'd you think about that? How'd you like that segment?
I felt like eating my shoe, honestly, because I felt like the last episode we did, I was saying how he's such a household name. Like he's not an A-list celebrity, he's a B-list celebrity. And if I saw him in a store, I'd know who the fuck he was. Obviously, that's just me because I clearly know who he is, but a lot of people, I guess, really don't know who he is, which is crazy because I mean, if you're not a UFC fan, you're a WWE fan, or vice versa, or both. You're watching one or the other. I think that's like honestly the two biggest rival shows of the NFL and NBA, which are two different seasons.
Yep.
Uh, I would say that I would recognize CM Punk. I was extremely shocked to find out that no one knew who the fuck he was. I mean, I would
Yeah.
understand not knowing his comic book, but not knowing who he was kind of shocking to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that he was that much covered up. I know he had a beanie on, but I mean, his face was pretty recognizable. And I mean, to me, he ranks up there with the Bret Harts and maybe not the Hulk Hogan, but definitely like a Bret Hart, maybe a Shawn Michaels. Nah,
For
maybe
every good guy,
maybe not.
there's the
But
perfect bad guy. And I always felt like
yeah,
Hogan had, the Sheik, Hart had Michaels, uh, you know, Cena had Punk or Orton, however you want to see it. But I felt like
yeah.
Cena and Punk was like the rivalry. You know what I mean? I, I was shocked to see that no one knew who he was. I could understand not knowing what comic book he wrote, but not knowing who CM Punk was crazy to me. Or maybe people were just camera shy and they didn't want to be involved.
I mean,
But
I guess it's possible. I mean, yeah. I mean, the camera was there, so I mean, I don't know, man. So I thought that was just pretty weird. But first off, kudos to him for doing the charity work and still thinking about the little people. And by little people, I mean like regular people around the world. I can't commend him enough. Charity work is important, regardless if you're a celebrity or not. So, and the closing of the episode, again, this is kind of showing his more of his humanity side. You saw him and his wife AJ. I feel weird calling her AJ because in the show they just call her April, but AJ and Punk were building a gingerbread house, and I gotta say, man, this is definitely life goals because I think my wife hates me because I don't do things like that. So it's yet another thing that I
I
learned
don't do
from
that shit
wrestling. Yeah, so kudos to Punk
Yeah.
for making us mortal men
My
look
wife
bad.
calls me like a holiday Nazi. I don't like holidays. I don't think of anything like that. That's just me.
Yeah, it's yeah. I just thought that was a bit funny that but they've very much looking in love, and I will say, man, I know we'll touch this on in a little bit more in detail in episode 4, but man, how uncomfortable I'm gonna feel having AJ there. Like, it just
Well,
I
that
don't know,
report
man.
just came
Like,
out today that she's not going to be out there in the seat. She'll be in the locker room.
she will be in the locker room.
Yeah, she's not gonna
Yeah,
be out. From what the report is, that CM Punk doesn't want her out there being catcalled and heckled while he's fighting. That she has enough stress
yeah,
that she has to go
because
through, and
yeah, that was a good call then. Whoever made that call, because you're going. I mean, that first off, it's in Cleveland, Ohio, okay, and
yeah,
and
that's
Cleveland,
that's
Ohio
it's like
is big.
back at Central Station.
It's a well, okay, it's a big, it's a big wrestling town. Okay, so we know that that stadium is going to be packed with nothing but wrestling fans. So,
This is true.
I will say though, I am almost 99% sure that Punk is going to come out to his theme music.
Well, it's crazy. I heard his theme song on the radio, and I was like, man, is this like a regular band that plays this song? Because I didn't. I
It
heard it
is.
on the XM radio.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a it's a well-known song, so
Yeah,
which is great because WWE doesn't really own the rights to the song itself. So
it's a
um,
pretty badass song too. I like the song.
yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. So it's gonna be good, man. The only thing, man, I know I'm jumping the gun, man. I should be saving this for the next episode, but if he goes in the ring and he goes like this and yells out it's clobbering time, it's over. It's over.
Uh,
So, just me marking out, bruh. So,
you know, did you watch the open workouts today?
I haven't yet. I need to. I'm trying to save all of the this week's events for our episode tomorrow, or Saturday, whenever we decide to do it. Because
Well, today, and if you get a chance after this to watch it, um, a lot of things are to the light, so to say. A lot of his skill, and I don't know if he was just trolling, you know what I'm saying, or
Mhm.
he he looks like he could use just like a touch up. Like he just didn't look like he looked like he was up all night and then having to do this shit today. He looked very exhausted. Uh, and everything kind of looks slow. Like when you look at people's open workouts, and granted, these guys have many fights in, but when you look at their open workouts, they look really like it goes together, matches. And Punk, like he was still searching for something. He was still searching for the moves. You know what I mean? Or I do this next. You know what I mean? Like he was still, instead of letting it go flow freely, he was still trying to, do it.
So what I will say to that is what you're describing to me is similar to what I saw in episode four. So we'll so I'm gonna use a wrestling term. I think that probably what we see is a work. And
Work.
yes, I think that it's a work, right? Because we we don't know what his style is going to be, right? We haven't really been
Right.
shown what exactly, unless you're someone that's inside of his camp, we don't know. And that could be used to your benefit, right? Your opponent can't study you. And how important is it for your opponent to study you before you fight?
Uh, I mean, honestly, you can look at 10 videos of somebody, and it might help you a bit. Everyone is adjusting to the person they're fighting, not just, if me and you are fighting and you're the champ and you're 16 fights in,
Mhm.
and I'm 14 fights in, you're fighting a whole other fight. You're looking at my fights and you're trying to adjust your game for me, and I'm trying to adjust my game for you. So your game gets adjusted, my game gets adjusted, and the fight is a totally different fight. Does it help you out? Yeah, I mean, if you're a John Jones versus a DC, and all DC's going to try to do is grind you out, wrestle you, and take you down. Yeah, his patterns of shooting and stuff like that is good to know. But at the end of the day, DC is not going to go in there, and knowing John Jones knows that, and just keep trying to wrestle him. He's going to try to mix up strikes. That's the same that's going to happen with Mickey Gall and CM Punk. CM Punk is clearly stating he's going for the TKO, and Mickey Gall is clearly saying he's going to knock out CM Punk. but at the end of the day, I don't know. I think that it's not that important to review a tape. I think it's important to review it in very minimal aspects, but as far as having to study and actually be in the tape, I think you're wasting your time. I think you need to point out the two or three things that he does that's a constant, because you can't 100% flip yourself on a dime. You need more than just one camp to change things up. Habits are going to be habits.
Well, I mean,
So
I'm gonna say this, it's been well documented how Anderson Silva knocked out BJ Penn. And you know why?
I don't remember Anderson and BJ fighting.
Yeah, it was BJ Penn. Yeah, you remember how he knocked him out?
I must have been knocked out when this fight happened because I don't remember them fighting.
So, Anderson Silva found out that BJ Penn was a huge Dragon Ball Z fan. So he studied the tape of Trunks coming to Namek. So he reenacted the scene.
I don't even remember Trunks going to Namek, which is even crazier than that.
It was Earth. He went to Earth. And then he kicked him straight under the jaw.
I do remember the
Because
kick
he
knocked
knew.
out, but that happened to Vitor Belfort, not
Oh, was that Vitor?
He was, bro.
This podcast is not always accurate, guys. Just gonna let y'all know, it's not always accurate. Sorry, BJ Penn, we love you, bro. Yeah. So it was well documented that Vitor Belfort, I probably slaughtered his name, that he was a big Dragon Ball Z fan. He got mesmerized because he thought Anderson Silva was Trunks, and
Oh,
and then he hit that instant transmission, and it was over, bro. I'm just saying.
there
That's
it
why
is.
it's important to review the tape. That's why
Right.
it's important. That happened this Saturday. Hey, for wins, I just want them to throw a pokeball at him. It just captured him. Gotcha.
I,
Throw that pokeball hat and put the
I
ash hat on, like that dude from who was the guy who did that at
he broke Santos's face. I
yeah,
forget the guy who did it, but yeah.
and then throw a pokeball. Oh
My
man.
take on it is that one or two things are going to happen. A lot of people are going to be cheering hysterically because CM Punk lost, and I lean towards that more. Um, or a lot of people are going to be really shocked that CM Punk won. Uh, and
Are we
I
gonna get
guess I
CM
lean
Punk
towards them too.
chance in the building?
If I'm not mistaken, Vince McMahon doesn't own the CM Punk name,
No, he doesn't. Not at all.
so you're going to hear a bunch of CM Punk chants.
It's gonna
You
be
know,
crazy.
I think the only place that CM Punk is more popular than Cleveland is Chicago. So
Yeah,
uh,
Chicago, Philly, and New York, and Ohio,
yeah,
big CM Punk
I think that
places.
he, whether and luckily and gratefully that he's having that fight there, because I think whether he wins or loses that fight, at least he has the comfort of the fans. The fans that are going to watch this fight, that are going to be physically present there, are going to be proud of him. I mean, those people bought the tickets. I don't think they buy it. There's always that one fucking jackass who, bought the
Yeah.
ticket to see him lose. But for the most part, people are buying those tickets to support him.
Yep.
And whether he wins or loses, those people feel like, you know what, you did your best and you did something I didn't do. I couldn't do it. And a lot of people talk about, if I was in the cage, motherfucker, no, you wouldn't do shit, but get your ass beat if you were in the cage.
Yep.
The dude has given his time and his effort, and I think that everyone, he wakes back up in the middle of that octagon. Everyone should give him a standing ovation for what he did. His life was publicized. He was recorded for a year. His wife's privacy, his privacy, moving to a whole nother city with absolutely nothing. Even during the holidays, he's doing this shit, training and trying not to prove everybody wrong, but to prove to himself that he can do it. He doesn't care about proving us wrong. He's trying to prove it to himself. And I think he deserves, at a minimum, a standing ovation from everybody, win or lose.
I
He
agree.
deserves that.
Yeah, I definitely agree, man. I mean, anytime that you're putting your heart on the line, and exposing yourself and being that vulnerable, you definitely deserve praise for that, man. I mean, he's doing it for all the right reasons and not all the wrong ones. So, but yeah, I did find it kind of, and I know I keep saying this, there was a lot of humor in this episode, but I like that scene where he was acknowledging all the people who wanted to fight him. He was saying, um, actors and cartoonists wanted to fight him, and old fighters, and new fighters, and wrestlers, and everything in between. But I I couldn't help but to notice that the reference to the actor or cartoonist was someone that we've all been wanting him to fight.
Well, I know who you're referencing and who you have your thought in, but
Do you think it
I
ever will
think that
happen?
I think it should have happened to begin. It should have been the first fight. I think they're both pretty household, but I think that when the when it came time to make good on the words that were talked by Mr. Phillip himself, that act like he had amnesia towards it, because I remember the call out, and the whole Comic-Con thing. I remember reading that about the Comic-Con issue with the, and I know that that green guy, he once said that he's down for whatever. You know what I mean? He'll meet him at any weight class he's willing to go to, and then CM Punk act like TBI had just happened to him or something. Uh,
I mean, how could Dana pass up on that opportunity? I mean, it's got to be one of the biggest paydays ever for those two.
I don't know, and I think that honestly, maybe Dana White has a conscience, and that's why he passed up. I think that maybe
He was
he's
protecting
like,
Punk.
I fuck yeah, hell yeah. I think that maybe Dana White, somewhere in that piece of shit body of his, that there is like some little conscience that fucking is like, you know what, I got to bring this guy in, and I'm not trying to kill him. You know what I mean?
All right, and that's
The green
allegedly
the
there's
green guy
shit
was
in
more
his
that
body.
guy.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever it
Ah,
is.
man.
I got mixed
Tried to.
emotions towards shits on people
I
all
know.
the time.
I know, man. I know. So I mean, that's your opinion. So, and that's opinions are good to have. So,
He's
yeah.
good and
So,
bad for the sport. He's like a good toxin.
well, I mean, now he doesn't own the UFC, so, or at least not a majority owner. So I don't know how that if that's going to benefit or not, but we'll see. He's a consultant, a high paid consultant. So it's the face of the
Pretty
company.
much.
Yeah. So
The face that runs the place.
yeah, the face that runs the place. My boy, ain't nobody gonna break this redneck. Shoot. Well, I mean, in any event, the match is pretty much set between Mickey Gall and Punk. It showed Mickey Gall and was it Bellator or was it or one of
No,
the
it
amateur
was
circuits?
a small circuit.
Okay.
So
Yeah, in one of the small circuits, which Dana happened to be there when this happened. So I don't know how much of that was a work.
they were
Um,
filming a show called Looking for a Fight when they discovered him.
oh, okay. So so then the fighters knew that he was there.
Yeah,
Okay. So then yeah. He knew what he was doing before he even took that fight. So but yeah,
yeah.
Mickey Gall beats the guy in like less than 45 seconds if I remember it correctly. And then gets on the mic and says, "Give me CM Punk." So and then Dana was selling the shock factor. Um, did this guy just
Motherfucker,
call
dude.
out CM Punk? Yes. Okay, well, this is what we're gonna do. You win one professional fight in UFC, and you can have CM Punk. And I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially what the conversation
That's right.
was. And yeah, and he fought the guy, beat him in the first round, and you got. And then I get was this what was this, a UFC 200 or was
Coming
this
up.
not a pay per view? Oh, I can't remember which pay per view that was, or even if it was a pay per view when that happened. But Punk went in and
I
they
think it
did
was
a
like
little
a fight night or something.
this fight night. Yeah, I think you're right. It was probably fight night, and Punk and him went. They exchanged some words, and they were most for the most part they were friendly. I did take a little bit of a little bit of an issue afterwards, but I think that shows up in episode 4. So I'll get your thoughts on that when we do that one. So
It's the beauty
um,
of being CM Punk. You don't have to sell your fight.
yeah, you sure don't. You sure don't, man. So, but we're at the end of each episode. I like to get your thoughts on the here and now. Versus the previous episode. So how do you feel about what's your perception of him now after watching episode 3? I know that there wasn't much training because this again was centered around his downtime, but how are you feeling at this point?
As far as his training, I feel like even though it didn't show too much, I think that I still noticed a vast amount of improvements, but still quite a bit of the repetitive nature, like his fallback. He still, when he gets hit, his immediate reaction is to blindly hit back, not collect himself. He's just throwing his arms out there trying to land something instead of looking. Um, he's getting better with the pressure being put on him and reacting to it. His shoot, and he did a single leg on some guy, and it actually looked pretty good. I was actually surprised. It wasn't the greatest thing I've seen, but it wasn't bad. It was actually a pretty good shoot. Um, his attention, to his coach is really it's remarkable how he takes it all in. A lot of guys are like, oh, okay, they're ready to get back in there, and he's actually absorbing what his coach is telling him, which is awesome. I think as far as his training, he looks way better than he did in episode 2. Does he still have some faults? Yeah, he has habits, hooking his punches, dropping his arms, but he's paying for him. So
And they're making sure to show him um,
yeah.
in that. Yeah, I mean that man. I like that camp. I mean they do a lot of great things. So um, yeah, I mean I feel like he's under the tutelage of that camp. I don't think they're going to hang him out to dry. So that's a positive. Um,
I mean, if he would have went to Greg Jackson now, then I mean, he probably would have won this fight already. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Uh,
So
but
let me
as
ask
far
you.
as
Go ahead.
I was saying, as far as the episode in his personal life, I mean, like as the episodes progress, I feel like I get more and more respect for the guy. Like you get to see him not as the wrestler, not as the fighter, but as just Phil Brooks, and the everyday man. You get to see this guy, hard worker, man. And as much as an asshole as I thought he was, because I see his tweets and shit, I'm like, this motherfucker. The dude's actually a pretty fucking humble dude. The dude is really laid back and really down to earth and very respectful. He's a respectful dude. It kind of question like, damn, is this the same motherfucker who typed that shit about, Virgil? I remember that Virgil text, and I was like, shit,
Yeah,
no
but
one likes Virgil.
so so yeah, so I listened to this I listened to this other podcast, this wrestling podcast, and it's well known. definitely blows this one out of the water in terms of subscribers and stuff. But hopefully, we could do some collaboration events with Double C. But it's funny because many of the guests that he has on, tell stories about Virgil, and none of them are positive at all. I mean, they're terrible. Like
I don't know how Virgil's such a bad guy.
I so I actually met Virgil, man. I don't know if I ever told you that, but I met Virgil. I want to say 3 or 4 years ago at Alamo City Comic Con. As a free plug for you there, man. Um, and I went to ask him, hey, can I take your picture? And I didn't know how Comic Cons work. It was kind of like my first Comic Con, so and it was towards the end of it, and he was like, there was no line there. He had the $1 million belt there, and he's like, man, I don't want to charge you, man, but it's gonna be $20 if you want to take a picture with me. I was like, $20? Like, goddamn. I was in the back of my mind, I was thinking, man, you, he charging me like he AJ Styles or something, man. Like, ain't nobody seen this guy for like 40 years.
Should have
Charge
told him
me.
the last time somebody gave you $20, it was Ted DiBiase shoving it in your mouth, you bitch.
Nah, but he was pretty cool. He was pretty cool, man. And we talked for like a good 40 minutes, and maybe 5 minutes of it, maybe 2 minutes of that was me talking. Because I really couldn't get a word in, but he was, But the one thing I know is about that dude is buff as fuck, no H. But yeah, that dude is still pretty big. So um, I wouldn't want to mess with him, and I'm a big guy myself, so But yeah, I'm just shocked that there's that many bad stories about him. When I met him, I didn't think he was that bad, but I didn't work or side of him, so usually have a different
Did you give
perspective
him
of it.
20 bucks?
I mean, yeah, I would honestly, I would have been good with $10, but not no twenty
Did you give him to
dollars,
him? Did you pay
bro.
him?
No, I didn't. I still got the picture though, but
That's what's
a little Photoshop, but I got the picture.
It's all good.
But yeah, yeah, but that's that, man. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much it, man. I mean that was the episode. It wasn't anything crazy. I enjoyed it. Out of the 3 episodes that you've seen, which one which one did you like the most?
Oh man, it's probably a tie between 2 and 3. I think they're both equally as good. They were
Yeah,
one's the introduction. Nothing good happens on the first episode until the end. It keeps you locked in for 2. But I would say 2 and 3 are both equally as good. And I mean, they tell you a lot about the guy. They would have anyone who hated him, think different of him, even Virgil.
yeah. I, yeah, I would have to agree with you as well, man. 2 and 3 together is probably by far my favorite out of the 3 episodes. And it's for the same reason, man. I feel like it showcased more of his humanity side versus this, wrestling god who's great on the mic and cares nothing about anyone else but his own agenda, kind of thing. So it's good to show how he really is, and it was also good to see AJ. I'm not gonna lie, it was good to see AJ, but I'm glad that it was tasteful. Like they did it in a very respectful way. Um, so yeah, 2 very good episodes. We're gonna probably tomorrow, like I said, Ben Goosen's getting married, so probably won't do an episode tomorrow, but we'll definitely do episode 4 on Saturday. We're shooting for the afternoon, and then we'll probably do four, and then we'll cut, and then we'll do predictions for USC 203. We'll go through the whole card, or at least the last five what do they call them? Cards or
I would
fights?
say we'll cover the main event of the prelims, and then we'll predict the main card.
Yeah, and then we'll predict the main card. So it should be fun. We'll do a running total to see, you know, who's really
Yeah.
the guru.
We know I was perfect on 202. You know what I'm saying? I
It,
went perfect that night. But I do want to, I like to, end your show with my shout outs. And today my shout out is to Dana White. If you're watching, if you ever get to watch, and I know CM Punk has more than one fight, I think his second fight should be with that fan that he slapped in that arena that day. I think CM Punk and him should go at it.
oh
The
man.
fans just need to get their shot.
Oh man, that's a pretty good shout out. Good, I would also like to make a shout out to Dana White, and my shout out is you need to fix the ranking system because it's broken, and the fighters who should be fighting each other don't fight each other, and the fighters who cry or complain about fighting the top guy get the fights. So fix the ranking system,
Or just don't have one at all because
or just
the
don't.
motherfucker's
Yeah,
bullshit.
yeah. I mean, if you're honestly not gonna use the ranking system effectively, then just
Boxing stopped using that shit a long time ago. Obviously,
yeah.
Mayweather and all his crap.
And
That's as far as we
that
go.
interim title belt, yeah, just give it to DC. Just give the belt to DC. There should be no interim title.
Yeah,
What'd you say?
he has a belt already. He has a real belt.
Oh, he's got the real belt already?
Yeah, he don't want that bullshit ass interim fucking silver ass belt. He don't want that shit.
Okay. Well, forget that part of it then. Just X out that. But yeah, fix the ranking system. So all right. So you're still Twitterless?
Yeah, thanks for the
Okay.
call out on live. Appreciate that.
You know, the fans want to know. I'm just saying, the fans want to
The
know.
fan, the fans will have to get to know the guru, Jay Clem himself, as soon as I make this motherfucker. I'll get it squared away, and I will be
Okay.
broadcasting. Not that you know, I'm in a rush. I do need to hurry it up though. I need to go ahead and get on this so I can start answering questions if I get them.
That's right. That's right, man. We got to be interactive with our fans because that's, all 49 of them trying to hit that 50 mark. So
I'll tell Jessica on that login.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, the next person who, the 50th person on Twitter, and the next person who subscribes on YouTube will get a shout out at the next episode. I guarantee it.
That's what's up.
That's what's up. So, all right, guys.
I'm
Well,
gonna
thank you
say
so
this.
much. Oh, you gonna interrupt the production, man?
I'm sorry, man. Go ahead. Yourself.
I'm gonna have to mute your mic. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for continuing to support us. I am Sage the Mark. You can find me on Twitter at real. No, that's our podcast. You can find me at Sage the Mark on Twitter. Follow us, our podcast at Real WrestleCast. Boy Ben Goosen is getting married tomorrow. So congratulations, Ben Goosen. When you're not looking,
Congratulations.
yeah, congratulations. I'm gonna get that tear off suit like Cesaro, and I'll put you up in commemorative in commemoration of CM Punk fighting on Friday. I'm gonna give you the GTF, so you probably won't GTS, so you probably won't see this until after Friday because then I'm gonna give that to you. But anyhow, if you're listening to this, everybody go on Twitter and at Ben_Goosen and give them happy marital status. What do you call it? Something.
Stuff.
Yeah, stuff. Yeah, just tell them, congratulations. We really appreciate it. So, and then again, follow us at Real WrestleCast. Our website is up, www.irwp.us. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Sage the Mark out.